People feel you before they hear you. Your presence speaks long before your mouth opens. And when your aura is powerful, it shakes people in ways they can't even explain. Some will admire it. Others will fear it. Many won't even know how to handle it. But that's not your problem. That's their limitation. You don't beg for acceptance. You walk into a room, and you don't shrink yourself to fit in. You don't chase approval. You don't need anyone to validate your worth. And because you refuse to beg for acceptance, people feel threatened. They can't manipulate you. They can't control you. And for those who survive on control, your independence is dangerous. You speak with conviction. Your words carry weight. When you talk, you're not just filling space. You're delivering truth. You don't sugarcoat. You don't water it down. And people who hide behind lies or weakness hate hearing truth spoken so boldly. They can't handle your honesty because it exposes their illusions. You protect your energy. You're not available to everyone. You don't hand out your time and attention like candy. You know your worth, so you protect it. And because of that, people who drain others for attention will call you cold or selfish. But it's not selfish. It's strength. Your aura is guarded, and that makes it rare. You command respect without asking. You don't have to demand respect. You earn it by the way you carry yourself. Your posture, your tone, your presence, they all say one thing: this is not someone to be disrespected. People feel it. They might not admit it, but they know. And that silent authority, that's what makes your aura untouchable. You're unshakable under pressure. Most people crumble when life hits them hard. You don't. You adapt. You rise. You take the hit and keep moving forward. That kind of strength is intimidating. Your resilience reminds people of their weakness. And instead of learning from you, some will resent you. But remember, their fear of your strength is proof of how strong you really are. You inspire without trying. You don't beg to be admired. You don't even need to speak sometimes. Just the way you live your life. Disciplined, determined, unapologetic. Makes people pay attention. You light a fire in them. And while some will try to dim your flame out of jealousy, others will find the courage to rise because of you. Your aura is not meant for everyone. Some people will avoid you. Some will criticize you. Some will try to break you. But that's not a sign of weakness. That's proof of your power. If people can't handle your energy, it's because your presence forces them to face what they're lacking. When your aura is powerful, the first thing people notice about you is that you don't beg for acceptance. You don't walk into a room seeking approval, hoping someone validates you, or waiting for permission to exist as you are. You stand on your own ground, firm and unapologetic, and this alone unsettles people. Why? Because most of the world is addicted to acceptance. People will twist themselves into shapes that don't belong to them. They will silence their own truth. They will compromise their own values just to be liked, but not you. You refuse to play small for approval. That refusal is what makes your presence impossible to ignore. Think about how many people live their entire lives chasing validation. They shape their choices, their careers, even their relationships around what others will think of them. They post, they perform, they pretend, all for a little approval. And still, they feel empty. Because external approval is never enough. It's a bottomless pit. You can feed it every day, and it will never be satisfied. But you've learned this truth. Acceptance from others means nothing if you haven't accepted yourself. That's why you carry yourself the way you do. You don't need their applause. You don't need their nod of approval. You don't even need their agreement. You have already validated yourself, and that is something most people will never understand. When you don't beg for acceptance, people label you differently. Some will call you arrogant. Some will call you intimidating. Some will say you think you're better than everyone else. But none of that is true. What's true is that you simply know your worth. You're not willing to bend, shrink, or compromise who you are for temporary approval. And here's the reality: when people can't control you, when they can't make you bow to their standards, they start to feel threatened. Because in a world where everyone is desperate to fit in, Your refusal to conform becomes an act of rebellion. It makes you stand out, and standing out always makes people uncomfortable. There will be moments when you feel the weight of their discomfort. You'll notice the whispers, the side looks, the subtle ways people try to exclude you or push you aside, and in those moments, the weak will give in. The weak will try to soften themselves, dim themselves, but become smaller just to be accepted. But that's not you. You'd rather walk alone in your truth than be surrounded by people who only want you on their terms. You know that false acceptance is poison. It's not worth betraying yourself for. You understand something vital. Real acceptance isn't given by the crowd. Real acceptance is the one you give to yourself when you look in the mirror and say, "I know who I am, and I refuse to apologize for it." That kind of self-acceptance creates a power in your aura that can't be faked. It radiates. People can sense it without you saying a word. They might not like it, but they will respect it. And those who don't respect it are simply revealing that they don't respect themselves. Your refusal to beg for acceptance also filters your circle. It eliminates the weak, the insecure, the ones who want to manipulate or control you, because they realize quickly that they can't buy your loyalty with flattery. They can't earn your presence with fake approval, and they can't bend you into who they want you to be. So they leave. And when they leave, you're left with something far better. People who value you for who you truly are, not for who you pretend to be. That's the gift of not begging for acceptance. The right people stay, and the wrong people remove themselves. But let's be clear, this path is not easy. There will be days when you feel the isolation, when the silence around you grows heavy, when you wonder if standing in your truth is worth the cost. That's when you remind yourself, acceptance that requires you to kill parts of yourself is not acceptance, it's control. And you are not here to be controlled. You are here to live fully, authentically, unapologetically. That means letting go of the need to be liked by everyone. Because being liked by everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. When you don't beg for acceptance, you give yourself freedom. Freedom to live boldly, to speak truth, to stand tall even if you stand alone. And that freedom radiates in your aura. People feel it when you walk in. They can't quite explain why they're drawn to you or intimidated by you, but they feel it. It's because you are operating on a level most people are afraid to touch. You are free from the chains of approval. You've broken the addiction to acceptance. And when you've done that, your aura becomes a mirror that reflects back to others all the ways they are still chained. Some will admire it. Some will resent it. But either way, they cannot ignore it. The truth is this: the most powerful people in history, the most respected leaders, the most unshakable spirits, all had one thing in common. They did not beg for acceptance. They stood in their power even when the world rejected them. They chose truth over approval, authenticity over conformity, self-respect over popularity, and that is exactly why their aura reached levels that most people will never touch. So, when people whisper about you, when they call you too much, when they say you're difficult, intimidating, or hard to handle, don't shrink. That's proof you're on the right path. That's proof your aura is too strong for their comfort zone. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be. When your aura is powerful, your words are not just sounds that fill the air. They are commands, they are declarations, they are truth spoken with force. Speaking with conviction is more than just talking with confidence. It's carrying an energy that people cannot ignore. It's the difference between someone who speaks to be heard and someone who speaks because what they're saying matters. And when you have that kind of presence, people listen. They might not like what they hear, they might even resist it, but they cannot deny the power behind it. Most people are afraid to speak with conviction. They water down their words, they hesitate, they second-guess themselves, and they constantly check the reactions of others to make sure they are not stepping out of line. They fear rejection, judgment, or conflict. So instead of speaking their truth, they speak what is safe. But when you walk in power, you refuse to do that. You don't speak to be accepted, you speak to be understood. You speak to deliver truth, not comfort. That is what sets you apart. Conviction comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. When you open your mouth, people can feel that your words are not empty. They come from a place of experience, of clarity, of inner strength. You don't stumble, you don't apologize for your voice, and you don't feel the need to dress your truth in soft packaging to make others comfortable. That's why your words land differently. They hit harder. They stay longer. They echo in the minds of people long after you've left the room. Of course, not everyone will appreciate it. Speaking with conviction threatens people who are insecure, weak, or hiding behind lies. Your words will cut through their illusions, and that exposure will make them uncomfortable. Some will call you harsh. Some will say you're intimidating. Others will try to silence you. But their reaction is not your concern. Their discomfort only reveals how fragile their own foundation is. People who live in truth respect conviction. People who live in lies run from it. Either way, your voice reveals who they really are. There is a reason why people with strong voices are remembered, why their words move nations, inspire revolutions, and awaken individuals. It's because they are not afraid to speak with conviction even when it is unpopular. They don't beg for agreement. They don't dilute their message to win the crowd. They speak with force because they know that truth, even when resisted, has power. And that is the energy your aura carries when you speak. When you speak with conviction, you command respect without asking for it. People sense your certainty. Even those who disagree with you can't ignore the strength in your voice. It creates an atmosphere where people stop talking and start listening. And that's the key. Conviction turns words into influence. It's not about the volume of your voice. It's about the weight of your presence behind it. You could speak softly and still the room would listen. Not because you demanded attention, but because your certainty drew it. You see, conviction doesn't mean you always have to be right. It means you are grounded enough in your beliefs that you can stand behind them without fear. It means you trust your own judgment, your own truth, your own perspective. And when you trust yourself, others begin to trust you too. That's why leaders with conviction rise above the noise. That's why voices with conviction are remembered long after they're gone. Because conviction has a way of leaving a mark. But here's the challenge: speaking with conviction requires courage. It means standing firm when others laugh, criticize, or try to silence you. It means resisting the temptation to soften your words just to keep the peace. It means being willing to lose approval in exchange for keeping your authenticity. And not everyone is willing to pay that price. But you are. That's why your aura carries strength, because your voice reflects a soul that refuses to betray itself for comfort. When you speak with conviction, you also inspire others. You show them what it looks like to stand tall in your truth, to speak without fear, to live without apology. Many people want that strength, but they don't know how to access it. Just hearing you speak can ignite something inside of them, reminding them that they too have a voice, and that voice deserves to be heard. You don't just speak for yourself. You awaken others to speak for themselves. That's the ripple effect of conviction. Conviction also sets boundaries. When you speak with certainty, people know where you stand. You're not someone they can manipulate with flattery or sway with pressure. You don't bend just because the crowd leans in one direction. You make it clear that your truth is not up for sale. And that makes some people uncomfortable, because it means they can't control you. But for you, that discomfort is not a problem. It's a shield. Your conviction protects your integrity. The world is full of noise. Voices that speak without meaning, opinions that shift with the wind, people who say one thing today and another tomorrow. But your voice cuts through the noise because it carries conviction. It has weight, it has depth. And people who are starving for something real can feel it instantly. They may not always agree, but they will always remember. Because truth spoken with power leaves an imprint on the soul. One of the strongest signs that your aura is too powerful for most people is the way you protect your energy. You do not hand out your time, your attention, or your spirit like it's free for anyone to take. You guard it because you know how valuable it is. And that choice alone separates you from the majority of people who live their lives drained, exhausted, and used up by everyone around them. You are different. You know that not everyone deserves access to you. You know that not everyone has earned the right to be in your space. And that boundary makes people uncomfortable. Most people think strength is about how much you can give away, how much you can tolerate, how much of yourself you can sacrifice for others. But true strength is knowing when to say no. True strength is knowing when to close the door, when to cut the cord, and when to stop letting people feed on your energy. That's what makes your aura powerful. You refuse to be a source of endless supply for people who only know how to take. The truth is, there are people who thrive on draining others. They need your attention to feel validated. They need your time to fill the void in their own life. They need your energy to fuel themselves because they have none of their own. And if you allow them, they will take and take until there's nothing left of you. But you refuse to live like that. You've learned that protecting your energy is not selfish, it is survival. It is the reason you're able to stand strong when others collapse. It is the reason you have clarity when others drown in chaos. When you protect your energy, people will notice. And not everyone will like it. The ones who are used to draining others will resent you. They will call you cold. They will call you selfish. They will say you've changed. But what they really mean is you've stopped allowing them to take from you. You've stopped allowing them to use your strength as their crutch. You've stopped making their comfort more important than your peace. And when you do that, they have no choice but to face their own emptiness. That's why your aura feels too strong for them. It forces them to realize they can't survive off your light anymore. Protecting your energy also means being intentional with where you place yourself. You don't just show up everywhere. You don't sit in every circle, entertain every conversation, or engage in meaningless drama. You know that energy is contagious. You know that who you surround yourself with determines what you absorb. So you choose carefully. You choose to be around people who uplift, not those who drag you down. You choose spaces where growth happens, not spaces filled with gossip and envy. And, because of that, your presence carries a higher frequency. People can feel the difference. They might not be able to explain it, but they know you operate on a level they can't always reach. It also shows in the way you handle conflict. You don't waste energy on arguments that go nowhere. You don't feel the need to respond to every insult, every criticism, every attempt to provoke you. You've learned that silence is sometimes the strongest response. You've learned that walking away protects more power than fighting for validation. That's why people can't shake you. That's why they call you unbothered. It's not that you don't care. It's that you refuse to waste your power on things beneath you. Protecting your energy is also about how you treat yourself. You've built habits that strengthen your mind and body. You don't let destructive patterns linger in your life. You invest in rest, discipline, and growth because you know your energy is the foundation of everything you do. While others burn themselves out trying to please everyone, you've chosen to prioritize your well-being. That's why your aura radiates strength, because it comes from within. It's not a performance. It's not an act. It's the result of the discipline you've built by valuing your own energy. The world will always demand more of you. People will always want more of your time, more of your focus, more of your resources. If you let them, they will drain you until you are empty. But by protecting your energy, you've drawn a line that most people are too afraid to draw. And because of that, people will misunderstand you. They will say you think you're above them. They will say you're difficult. They will say you're hard to reach. But none of that matters. What matters is that you've kept your strength. What matters is that you are not depleted like the rest of them. Your aura is powerful because it is not polluted. It is not weakened by everyone else's negativity. It is not diluted by every demand, every distraction, every toxic influence. You have preserved it by being selective. You have protected it by being disciplined. And that is why people can feel the difference the moment they step into your space. Some will respect it. Some will resent it. But all will notice it. Most people don't realize that energy is life. How you spend it determines the quality of your existence. Waste it on meaningless things, and you will live an empty life. Protect it, invest it wisely, and you will live a powerful one. You've chosen the latter. That's why your aura is magnetic. That's why people are drawn to you, even when they don't understand why. Because your energy is intact, preserved, and potent. And that's something most people cannot handle. There are people who spend their lives demanding respect. They shout for it, they fight for it, they try to force people to treat them a certain way. But then there are those whose very presence commands respect without saying a word. When you have a powerful aura, you fall into the second category. You don't need to beg people to recognize your value. You don't need to demand that they treat you with dignity. Your presence does it for you. The way you carry yourself, the way you walk, the way you stand, the way you speak. It all communicates one thing: you will not be disrespected. Respect is not something you ask for. Respect is something you embody. It's the silent authority that comes from knowing who you are and refusing to settle for less. When you step into a room, people can feel it. They may not be able to explain it, but they know there's something about you that sets you apart. They adjust their tone, they straighten their posture, they weigh their words more carefully. That's not because you told them to. It's because your aura demanded it. Commanding respect without asking starts with self-respect. You do not allow yourself to be treated in ways that diminish you. You don't laugh at disrespect disguised as jokes. You don't excuse poor behavior just to keep the peace. You don't lower your standards to keep someone close. And because you uphold that line with yourself, others know they cannot cross it either. Your self-respect trains people how to treat you. And it's not done through words. It's done through action, through boundaries, through the way you consistently stand firm in what you allow and what you don't. People who thrive on disrespect hate this about you. They're used to pushing others around, speaking carelessly, crossing boundaries without consequence. But when they meet you, they realize quickly that those games won't work. You don't entertain disrespect. You don't respond with weakness. You don't beg people to change. You simply remove yourself or shut it down with finality. And that's why your aura unsettles them. You're not easy to manipulate. You're not easy to use. You are not a target. You are a wall they cannot break through. When your aura commands respect, people talk about you differently. They may not like you, but they won't dismiss you. They may not agree with you, but they won't ignore you. You're not easily forgotten, because your presence leaves an impression. It's not arrogance, and it's not pride. It's authority. Authority that comes from alignment with who you are. And that's rare. Understand this: respect is never given freely. It's earned not by begging or demanding, but by showing consistency, discipline, and strength. When you show up with self-respect, when you carry yourself with dignity, when you refuse to engage in behavior that cheapens you, you naturally elevate yourself above the average. And people feel that difference, even if they don't want to admit it, even if they try to tear you down. They know in their core that you are not someone they can handle lightly. That knowledge forces them to treat you differently. Your aura carries this message even in silence. You don't need to yell to make yourself heard. You don't need to brag to make yourself seen. You don't need to argue endlessly to prove you're right. Your composure, your discipline, your stillness speak louder than any words could. That's why when people try to provoke you and you don't react, it rattles them. They realize your respect doesn't depend on their approval. It comes from within, and that's a power they can't take away. When you command respect without asking, you also set the standard for the people around you. You teach them by example what strength looks like. You show them what it means to hold yourself to a higher level. And some will rise to meet that standard, while others will fall away. Either way, your aura filters your environment. The weak and insecure won't stay long because your presence exposes their lack of discipline, but the strong will stay because they recognize your strength as something to learn from. Commanding respect also makes you a target at times. People who feel small in your presence may try to test you. They may try to provoke you, challenge you, or diminish you. But their attempts only highlight your authority even more. Because you don't respond with desperation. You don't crumble under pressure. You don't try to prove yourself to them. You stand steady, unmoved, unshaken. And that stability breaks them down faster than any fight could. The truth is, most people are not used to encountering someone who doesn't need external validation. Most people are not used to meeting someone who won't compromise their standards for acceptance. That's why your aura feels heavy to them. It forces them to recognize their own lack of self-respect, and instead of facing it, many will project it onto you. They'll call you cold. They'll say you're unapproachable. But deep down, they know it's not coldness. It's authority. It's the respect you carry for yourself that demands others respect you too. This is the kind of power that cannot be faked. You can pretend to be confident. You can put on a mask of toughness, but real respect can only be commanded when it comes from within. It comes from the choices you've made, the boundaries you've drawn, the discipline you've lived by. That's what radiates through your aura. That's why people treat you differently. And that's why most people can't handle being around you. Your aura doesn't just ask for respect, it insists on it. Not through words, not through begging, but through the undeniable force of who you are. That's the mark of true power. That's the weight of someone who doesn't just live, but leads. And that is why when you walk into any room, the atmosphere shifts. Because respect is not something you seek. It is something you naturally command. Pressure is where most people break. It's where fear takes over, where panic spreads, where doubt silences the mind. But when your aura is powerful, you are different. You don't shatter when the weight gets heavy. You don't fold when the fire burns hotter. You adapt, you focus, you rise. That is what makes you unshakable under pressure. And that ability alone is enough to intimidate anyone who has never learned how to control themselves when life turns brutal. You see it everywhere. People crumbling at the first sign of adversity. They lose their temper when things don't go their way. They collapse emotionally when they feel challenged. They back down the moment the situation grows uncomfortable. They show weakness before the real fight even begins. But that is not you. Pressure only reveals your strength. Where others lose their grip, you find your footing. Where others let fear dictate their moves, you hold steady and calculate your next step. That calmness is power, and it makes people uneasy because they can't understand how you remain composed when everything is falling apart. Being unshakable under pressure doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It doesn't mean you don't feel stress. It means you don't let those emotions control you. You've trained yourself to breathe when others suffocate. You've conditioned your mind to focus when chaos tries to distract you. You've built a discipline that allows you to function when most people are paralyzed. That's why your aura carries such intensity, because people sense that no matter how high the stakes, you are not someone who breaks easily. When others look at you in moments of crisis, they expect to see panic, doubt, or fear in your eyes. Instead, they see certainty. They see a calm strength that unnerves them. It reminds them of their own instability. Your steadiness becomes a mirror, exposing how fragile they really are. And that's why your aura feels overwhelming. It's not that you're cold or unfeeling. It's that you have learned to master what others let control them. Pressure is where true character is revealed. Anyone can be confident when life is easy. Anyone can speak boldly when there's no challenge in front of them. But confidence under pressure, strength in the middle of adversity, that's rare. That's what separates leaders from followers, the strong from the weak, the survivors from the broken. And you embody that separation. You stand in the fire and refuse to let it consume you. You adapt, you rise, and you keep moving forward. That's why people either admire you or resent you, because they wish they had that same power. When you are unshakable under pressure, people trust you in ways they don't trust others. They look to you for guidance when things are collapsing because your aura brings stability. You become the anchor in the storm, the calm in the chaos. Even without words, Your presence communicates that things will be handled, that the situation is not bigger than your ability to overcome it. That level of composure cannot be taught through books. It comes through discipline, experience, and the refusal to let life dictate who you are. There is also another side to this power. It intimidates those who thrive on control. Some people rely on fear to manipulate others. They raise their voices, they create tension, they stir chaos to gain the upper hand. But when they try that with you, it fails. You don't react the way they expect. Their intimidation bounces off you, their chaos doesn't move you, and their pressure tactics fall flat. And when fear no longer works on you, they lose their grip. That is why people sometimes label you as too tough or too difficult. What they really mean is, I can't break you and that frustrates me. The world respects those who can remain calm when it counts. Think about it. When disasters happen, who do people look to? Not the loudest voice, not the one who panics first. They look to the one who is steady, the one who keeps moving forward, the one who doesn't let the pressure control them. That's why your aura commands so much weight. You have built yourself into that person. You have proven that no matter the storm, you can stand in it without falling apart. This strength isn't something you developed overnight. It's the result of every battle you've faced. Every time life pushed you to the edge, you chose not to fall. Every time you felt like breaking, you decided to hold yourself together. Every time fear tried to take over, you chose courage. All of those decisions built resilience inside you. Now when pressure comes, you don't see it as something to fear. You see it as a test you are already prepared for. That's the difference, and that difference radiates through your aura. Being unshakable under pressure also means you don't let the temporary blind you to the bigger picture. You don't let short-term pain make you forget long-term goals. You know pressure is not permanent, it's a moment. A moment that will pass if you hold your ground. Most people let those moments define them. You let those moments refine you. That shift in mindset is what makes you unstoppable. People who can't handle pressure will always find excuses. They'll say life is unfair, the challenge is too big, the odds are stacked against them. But you don't waste time with excuses. You focus on solutions. You focus on the next move. You keep your mind clear because you know that clarity under fire is more valuable than anything else. That's why you make progress when others freeze. That's why your aura carries so much force. You've proven that pressure cannot silence you. So when others look at you and wonder why you don't break, why you don't collapse, why you don't lose your composure, they will either admire you or hate you. But one thing is guaranteed, they will never forget you. Because being unshakable under pressure is one of the rarest strengths a person can carry. And you carry it in your aura like armor, protecting you, elevating you, setting you apart. There are people who beg for attention, who try endlessly to be admired, who build their lives around chasing recognition. They want to be noticed, to be celebrated, to be seen. But then there are those who don't chase it at all, yet still inspire everyone around them. That's the kind of power your aura carries. You don't need to force people to pay attention. You don't need to perform for applause. Your very existence, your choices, your discipline, your strength, it all speaks louder than any performance ever could. And that natural influence is exactly what makes your aura too powerful for most people. When you live authentically, when you stand firm in your truth, when you walk with confidence and discipline, you send a silent message to everyone watching. This is what it looks like to live with power. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to broadcast it. People feel it just by being in your presence. They watch the way you move, the way you handle challenges, the way you refuse to compromise yourself. And it lights something inside of them. It sparks the thought, if they can live like that, maybe I can too. That is inspiration in its purest form. What makes it even more powerful is that you're not doing it to impress anyone. You're not trying to be admired. You're simply living in alignment with who you are. That's why it hits so hard. Because people know the difference between authenticity and performance. They know when someone is faking it, when someone is desperate for validation. And they know when someone is simply living in their truth. Your aura radiates authenticity, and authenticity is magnetic. It draws people in even when you're not looking for them. But here's the thing, your ability to inspire without trying also makes some people uncomfortable. Because inspiration is a mirror, it forces people to see what they could be if they stopped making excuses, if they stopped playing small, if they stopped betraying themselves. And not everyone is ready for that reflection. Some people would rather attack you than face their own potential. They will call you intimidating, they will say you think you're better than others, they will try to find flaws in you to make themselves feel better. But their reaction is not about you, it's about the part of themselves that your aura exposes. There's also jealousy. When people see you inspiring others effortlessly, when they realize that your strength and discipline naturally earn respect without you asking for it, envy kicks in. They can't stand the fact that you achieve influence without chasing it, while they struggle to get attention even when they beg for it. They will try to copy you. They will try to compete with you, but it never works. Because inspiration can't be faked. Influence can't be manufactured. It only comes from being real. And that's what your aura embodies. Inspiring without trying is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. People are inspired not because you live a flawless life, but because you live with purpose. They see how you keep going even when things are hard. They see how you carry yourself with dignity even when you face challenges. They see how you refuse to give up when the odds are against you. And that resilience leaves an impression. It makes people ask themselves, if they can keep standing, why can't I? That's the seed of inspiration you plant without even realizing it. It also shows in the way you treat yourself. You have standards. You demand more of yourself than most people ever will. You put in the work, you discipline your mind, you respect your time, and you hold yourself accountable. And when people witness that, it forces them to look at their own lives. Some will rise because of it. They'll push harder, expect more of themselves, and grow stronger. Others will shrink away because they don't want the reminder of what they're not doing. Either way, your aura leaves an impact. The most powerful part is that you don't chase this influence. It chases you. You don't wake up in the morning trying to be a role model, but people still look at you as one. You don't walk into a room hoping people admire you, but eyes still turn your way. You don't speak just to sound impressive, but people carry your words with them long after you've gone. That's what happens when your aura is strong. You inspire by simply being yourself, and this inspiration doesn't stop at individuals, it spreads. One person who sees your strength becomes motivated to rise. They influence someone else. That person influences another. Without even knowing it, your presence creates a ripple effect. You become the spark that ignites countless fires, not because you were trying to, but because you refuse to dim your own light. That's what happens when you walk in authenticity. You give others permission to do the same. Yet, it's not always easy to carry this kind of aura, because being an inspiration without trying also means being misunderstood. People will hold you to standards they don't hold for themselves. They'll expect you to never slip, never struggle, never falter. And when you do, they'll be quick to criticize. But that doesn't take away from your influence. It makes it even stronger. Because true inspiration isn't about being untouchable. It's about being real. It's about showing strength and vulnerability, discipline and humanity, all in one. That's what people connect to. So whether you realize it or not, your aura is shaping people. It's challenging them. It's awakening something inside of them that they didn't even know was there. And the fact that you don't even try to do it, that you just live authentically and still create that impact, is the ultimate sign of your power. Most people will never understand it. Some will run from it. Others will rise because of it. But none of them will forget it. When your aura is powerful, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. The way you move, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, it all tells the story of who you are. And when we put all these signs together, it paints a very clear picture. You are not ordinary. You are not someone who blends in. You are not someone people forget. Think about it. You don't beg for acceptance because you already know your worth. You speak with conviction because truth lives in your bones. You protect your energy because you understand how precious it is. You command respect without asking because your presence demands it. You remain unshakable under pressure because life cannot break what is already built from steel. And most importantly, you inspire others without even trying, simply because your authenticity lights up a world drowning in pretenders. This is the power of a strong aura. It intimidates the weak, it exposes the insecure, it challenges the fearful, and it awakens the strong. Not everyone will understand you. Not everyone will celebrate you. In fact, many will try to resist you, criticize you, even attempt to tear you down. But here's the truth: their reactions are not a reflection of your weakness. They are evidence of your strength. Your aura is not meant to be digestible for everyone. Some people will choke on it. Some people will run from it. And that's exactly how it should be. Power is not supposed to make everyone comfortable. Power shakes things up. Power transforms rooms, shifts energy, and forces people to see themselves in a new light. That's what you carry. And that's why some can't handle you. But let me tell you something. Never lower yourself to fit into a smaller space. Never dim your light just so others feel less threatened. Never soften your voice so fragile egos feel safe. You were not put here to blend in. You were put here to stand out, to disrupt, to challenge, to inspire. And if your aura is too much for most people, good. It means you are living at a level they haven't reached yet. The truth is, a powerful aura isn't a gift. It's a choice. It comes from discipline, resilience, courage, and authenticity. It comes from deciding that you will not live a watered-down version of yourself. It comes from embracing the fact that you are not here to please the world. You are here to change it. So, stand tall, walk boldly, speak your truth without hesitation, protect your energy like it's gold, carry yourself with unshakable confidence, and never apologize for being powerful. Because the world doesn't need more people who shrink. It needs more people who rise. And when your aura is too powerful for most people, remember, those who can handle it will rise with you, and those who can't will fall away. That's how you know you're exactly where you're meant to be.